Hi there, welcome to Introduction to Unity. My name is Mr. Ayo and I'll be taking you through this game design module. This course covers basic game development, the concept, 3D game engines, the programming scope, and tools. Throughout this module, you will learn the fundamentals of 3D game application development and also explore the interface of the Unity game engine, while writing programs in the C# programming language. You will design realistic 3D games using different tools in the Unity game engine application. The objectives of this lesson will be to learn about video games and its development, basic concept of 3D game development, 3D game development tools, and the Unity game engine, as well as its interface. The skills we'll be gaining from this lesson are creative thinking, logical reasoning, and analytical reasoning. Video game design refers to the scripting, designing, and creation of video games. Video games are creative designs and they can be played on different devices like computers and gaming consoles like Xbox, PlayStation, and other console applications. 3D games are developed to simulate a realistic effect. That is, the elements are designed to look real and create a make-believe as if it is real. Objects in 3D games possess more depth in character development. Some major areas in 3D game development include programming, animation, characters creation, sound effects, music, and other parts. Certain game tools are used to develop a basic 3D game. These tools are referred to as game engines. Game engine tools are used to power advanced 3D games which can provide an overwhelming gaming experience. A game engine has a software framework that can be used to build and create advanced 3D games. They provide many useful features such as memory management, artificial intelligence, rendering various graphics, and other parts. They are also responsible for rendering the graphics in the game. Some game engines can be used to develop games, animation, films, etc. Some few game development tools are the Unity game engine, Unreal game engine, Autodesk Maya, Blender game engine, and other ones. For this course, we'll be using the Unity game engine. Alright, before we go on, let's take a short quiz. What is video game design? Mention 2 game engines. Video game design refers to the scripting, designing, and creation of video games. Unreal game engine and Unity game engine are examples of video game engines. Alright, so the Unity game engine is a cross-platform game engine tools developed by Unity Technologies with great intuition and ready-made assets. It can be used to create virtual reality, 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional, and augmented reality games, as well as simulation and other 3D experiences. The latest stable version is 2019.4.0. Games in Unity are built and programmed in the C# programming language. And this is a Unity game engine interface. And in a short while, we'll be heading over to our Unity game engine to explore this interface. But before that, let's download it. To download and install the Unity game engine, launch your browser and type unity.com. We'll take a walk through this process. So let's head over to our browser. To install Unity, you need to visit unity.com. So in our web browser, we'll type in unity.com. Alright, so when we have the Unity interface loaded, just like this, the web page, we'll select Get Started. Now we have a list of products that are offered by Unity, but we'll go straight to the individual, and then we'll choose personal. To select the get started, and then we can either choose first time user or returning user. So we'll choose the get started or start here, and then we'll scroll down and then choose agree and download. Alright, so the Unity Hub will download just as you're seeing it downloading here. So when it's done, we'll run the Unity Help Setup interface, and then we'll go ahead to install Unity. Alright, to run the Unity Hub, choose I agree, choose install, and then wait for the Unity Hub setup to finish installing. Once that is done, we'll say finish and ensure we have run Unity Hub ticked. So we'll say finish. And then we'll have the Unity Hub load up. Great. So I choose allow access. Alright, so we can choose to go ahead with the installation of Unity. So we need to add Unity or locate. So we're going to choose, since it's the first time installation, we're going to choose to add Unity. So let's add Unity. And then they select, we are given a list of versions. So we choose the first version, official release, and then we choose next, and then we choose done. Alright, so because we have Microsoft Visual Studio Community installed, we'll leave that as well. So we just go ahead and choose next, and then we choose I agree, and then we choose done. Alright, so we choose yes, and then wait for the Unity Hub to start to install Unity into our machine. Alright, so this is the Unity. It's getting downloaded. It will take a while it's downloading, but once it is done, we can run our Unity all by itself. So it takes a while depending on your internet speed. Alright, but after it is done, we can run our Unity. So we just wait for it to get done. Alright, so our Unity has finished downloading, and we have it right here, a shortcut to our Unity which has finished downloading. The next thing we're going to do now is, before we go on or go ahead with our Unity, we'll create a folder. Alright, that's the folder where we have our game, assets, and all the requirements to build our game for Unity will be installed in that folder. So let's go ahead and create a folder. We can call this folder whatever name we want, but I'm going to call my own folder 3D games. So I'll right click, go to new, and choose folder. Then I'll call this 3D games. Alright, so now that the folder has been set up, we can now run our Unity engine. So I'm going to run my Unity. So let's just walk through the installation process of Unity. Alright, so we'll go ahead now and add a new project. So I'm going to say new. And then when you select new, you can either add a 2D project or a 3D project. So I'm going to choose a 3D project, and then I have the location of my project here. So I'm just going to say create. Alright, I give Unity access. Alright, so just wait up for Unity to load up our game. So this may take a while, but we'll just wait for Unity to finish loading everything that is pertains to our game. Alright, so it's importing all the scenes and all the assets that's required for Unity to load. Normally it happens like this when you're loading Unity for the first time, and subsequently it also happens like this because Unity is actually a large engine, so it pulls a lot of resources together to start creating your game. So you may need to be patient, and sometimes it also depends on your laptop processing memory, so you want to ensure that you're running Unity with a large RAM. Great. Alright, so we have our Unity done and loaded. So the next thing we want to do is let's explore the Unity interface. Alright, so we have this Unity this way because this is the Unity interface for the free version for personal. Alright, the one we downloaded. So let's go ahead and explore the Unity interface. You can see it has different tabs and layout at different angles and corners, and we'll be learning about them. And now we can use this interface and layout to create interesting 3D games. So let's go ahead. Now this tab is called the hierarchy tab. This tab displays all the objects used in the game. For example, under this sample scene which we have here, you can discover that there are two objects right here, the main camera and the directional light. So this is the hierarchy. Every object that works within the game will come and be listed directly under the hierarchy tab. Alright, now this is called the scene area. Everything you need to create will be dragged into the scene area so you can watch it work. By default, we're working with the 3D layout because we selected it already, and if you run it without going through the hub, Unity will also load you as the 3D platform. Alright, now so this is the scene area where we're going to see all our game as we begin to work and build them. And this area is called the inspector tab layout. Now this layout displays properties for any selected object. For example, if I select the main camera from the hierarchy scene, we can see all the components. Every item here that pertains or relates to the main camera are called components, and they appear under the inspector tab. So we can see under the components that relate to the main camera, we can edit different features and watch how it relates to the camera on the main screen. For example, we can set and define the transform, which set the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis. We can also set how the camera will work or rotate, and also determine the viewport and other components that relate to the main camera. Alright, so now let's look at other things to add objects. So let's look at, aside from that, we can also add objects into Unity. Now to add objects into Unity, you need to right click on the hierarchy tab, and then you can select either 3D object or 2D object. So for this exercise or for this lesson, we'll be selecting a cube. So let's select a 3D cube. We can see our 3D cube automatically appears in the scene. And we can see that because it is selected, all the properties that relate to our cube are right here under the inspector tab. Alright, so because we have that here, we can go ahead and explore the features that relate to the cube. Now this layout is called the assets panel. The asset panel contains different game assets that can be dragged into the scene so they can appear in the hierarchy tab. For example, we have a folder here called a scene. Now, under the scene, we have a sample scene. If you notice, the sample scene is the same scene we have right here under the hierarchy tab. So in the assets panel, we can drag items into the scene and then it will reflect under the hierarchy tab. We'll explore more of this when we begin to create our games and begin to write programs in Unity. But for now, let's still go ahead and explore the interface so we can be well aware what Unity does and what Unity doesn't do. Alright, so let's look at the other items and panel right up here. So right here we have the game. Now the difference between the game tab and the scene tab is, the scene tab gives you a formation layout of how your game is progressing. For example, what we still have here is what we still have here, but this game layout or under the game tab is how your game will look like after it has been developed, while for the scene is how it looks like while it is being developed. You can see that on the scene we have grids, but on the game there are no grids. They've all been taken out. Good. Now we also have this 3D 2D switcher. When you select, you can choose between 2D or 3D. On default is on 3D, but when you select, it moves over to 2D. Also, we have the play button right here. The play button allows you to play your game as you create it. So while we are creating our game, we can go ahead and play it to see how it will respond and how it will look like. We can also pause our game while we are creating it. So it gives you a continuous assessment as you're building your game on the go. You can see how your game would look like before you start compiling and exporting for playing. So we also have the grid layout. Now the grid layout provides you with features that set your alignment as you create your game. So when you have the grid set up on the game, you know how to set the y-axis and the x-axis in your game. But if you take out the grid, you may not be able to set the x-axis and the y-axis of your game. Now, we also have right up here the layout tab. Under the layout tab, you can reset and adjust how you want your game to look like. For example, I can drag out this game tab and put it right here. So I have a side-by-side view of my game. But if I do that and I reset all the sizes of my game and my layout, I may mess up everything and become confused of what I did and what I did not do. So to reset all the layout back to the default Unity standard layout, come to the layout tab, select it and choose default. You can see it has returned back to the layout tab. Now other game and assets in Unity, we will learn them as we go ahead and build our game. For example, the control tab right here, which displays our game in the console log format as we build. But we'll be learning all of this in next lessons while we are building our game and learning, and when we have done the fundamental learning of C#, which is a programming language in Unity. Now some basic controls in Unity are to rotate your scene area, you need to use the Alt plus the left click. So holding the Alt and left click, you can move across the layout of your scene, just as I'm doing now. So it provides you different angles and views to look at your game as you develop it. Also, you can zoom in and out of your game using the mouse, the center wheel button of your mouse. So it's always preferable to also use a mouse when you're building your game with Unity. Now, to build fully functional games in Unity, we'll need to program our game, character, and objects. Just as we added the cube, we also need to program our objects and characters. Now, to really functionally do that, in the next lesson, we'll be learning about C# programming language. C# programming language is the fundamental programming language used for building games in functional and programmable games in Unity. You need to learn C# and the fundamentals. So when we're done learning about C# and the fundamentals, we will then build our very first Unity game. Alright, so that is all for this lesson. And in the next lesson, we'll be jumping straight right in to C# programming language. An amazing experience we've had with Unity Game Engine. So let's take a short quiz. When objects are added to a game in Unity, where do they appear? What are components and where do they appear? When objects are added to a game in Unity, they appear under the Hierarchy tab. Now, components are items that relate to an item selected in the scene, and they appear under the Inspector tab. So let's take a recap of what we have learned in this lesson. In this lesson, we have learned about video games and its development. We have learned about basic concept of 3D games development. We have learned about 3D game development tools. We have also learned about the Unity game engine and its interface. So in the next lesson, we'll kick off our learning with the C# programming language. We'll learn all that there is to it, and then we'll bring it back into the Unity game engine and create our functional programmed game in Unity game engine. Isn't that exciting? So until then, see you in the next class.